If you take a perfectly healthy 40-year-old, someone whose metabolic markers are absolutely pristine,
Right.
and you look at what they eat on a daily basis, the typical roti, a generous bowl of dal, the usual sabzi,
Yeah.
maybe a sweet after dinner.
The standard plate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It all works in perfect harmony. But if you take that exact same plate of food, cooked in the exact same kitchen, and you serve it to a 70-year-old,
The results are completely different.
completely different. The clinical data shows us that this very same meal might just be quietly ruining their health.
It's the ultimate paradox.
It really is. So welcome to this deep dive. I am so glad you have joined us today because we are unpacking a biological paradox that affects every single one of us.
Absolutely.
Whether you are actively navigating your own health in your 60s or, you are trying to guide your older family members through their golden years.
Because the food itself, it remains entirely static.
Right.
But the biological machinery processing that food has fundamentally shifted. I am just thrilled to be here with you and with our listener today to really explore this.
We're so lucky to have you.
Thank you. See, when we look at traditional Indian culinary wisdom,
The official title of today's deep dive is Smart Indian Food Wisdom for 60 Plus. But before we talk about what to eat, we need to understand the why.
we can actually categorize these into 4 major physiological shifts.
Okay, let's go through them. What's the first one?
The first is a severely slowed basal metabolic rate.
The metabolism just slows down.
Basically, yes. If we think of your body as an engine, in your younger years, that engine is revving high. Your mitochondria, the powerhouses in your cells, they are incredibly efficient at converting fuel into energy.
Right.
But after 60, the mitochondrial efficiency simply drops. The engine does not burn fuel at the same rate.
So if you keep eating the same amount,
But the body stores it as visceral fat.
particularly around the abdomen, right? Okay, so the engine is idling much slower.
Yeah.
What is the second major shift?
The second shift is sarcopenia. It is the medical term for the age-related progressive loss of muscle mass and muscle function.
And why does this matter so much for food?
Because your skeletal muscles are the largest storage units for the sugar circulating in your blood.
So if you eat a heavy carbohydrate meal, the glucose is knocking on the doors of the muscle cells, but there are simply fewer doors to open.
Precisely. Which leads directly into the third shift, reduced digestive efficiency. The stomach produces less gastric acid, and the pancreas secretes fewer digestive enzymes. Even the microvilli, the tiny finger-like projections in your intestines that absorb nutrients, they can become blunted.
Oh,
Exactly.
which perfectly explains why so many older adults I know struggle with hemoglobin or vitamin deficiencies.
And the fourth shift is chronic low-grade inflammation. As cells age, they secrete inflammatory cytokines into the bloodstream. The insulin receptor on the outside of a cell gets literally deafened by this inflammation.
Section 2. We need to clear out the dietary hazards that are actively accelerating this metabolic decline. Let's do a deep dive into the 5 culprits that must be eliminated after 60.
Let's do it.
Culprit number 1 is fine flour or maida.
Yes, maida is public enemy number 1 for the aging metabolism. We are talking about white bread, morning bakery biscuits, the
A lot of older folks will say, I've been dipping 2 Marie biscuits into my morning chai for 40 years. It's my one joy. How bad can 2 thin little biscuits be?
When you take wheat and process it into maida, you are aggressively stripping away the bran, which contains the fiber.
Okay.
And you remove the germ, which contains the nutrients. What you are left with is pure endosperm,
Which is just starch.
highly concentrated pulverized starch made of a compound called amylopectin A.
Amylopectin A.
It is incredibly easy for human enzymes to dismantle. When you take a bite of that bakery biscuit, the salivary amylase in your mouth begins converting that maida into pure maltose before you even swallow it.
So it's basically sugar immediately.
By the time it hits your intestine, it is absorbed so rapidly that it hits your bloodstream with the same velocity as table sugar. For a 65-year-old with rusty insulin locks and reduced muscle mass, those 2 innocent morning biscuits create an immediate, violent glucose spike.
Just from 2 biscuits.
It starts their entire day on an inflammatory roller coaster.
So the morning biscuit habit has to go.
It has to go.
Culprit number 2 is deep fried snacks.
Yes.
The puras, the bhajias, the mathri, the farsan mixtures. When guests come over, out comes the fried plate.
When cooking oils, especially the refined seed oils commonly used for commercial snacks, are heated to frying temperatures. Their chemical structure changes. They oxidize. Reheating oil rapidly multiplies the formation of trans fats and free radicals.
Trans fats.
Trans fats are biochemically disastrous.
Yeah.
When you consume them, they actually incorporate themselves into your cell membranes, making those membranes rigid and stiff. Exactly. Trans fats drive up your LDL, the bad cholesterol, and suppress your HDL, the good cholesterol.
That's a terrible combination.
For our cardiovascular system,
Culprit number 3, excess sugary foods. The Mythi, the Jalevis, the chocolates, and a heavily sweetened tea.
in an older, less active body,
Liver.
literally making new fat out of sugar.
So eating too much sugar directly causes a fatty liver.
Exactly. It creates visceral fat that wraps around the organs, and as that liver becomes fatty, it becomes incredibly insulin resistant.
That is eye-opening. Culprit number 4 is ultra-processed foods, instant noodles, packaged potato chips, and ready-to-eat meals.
They are engineered to be hyperpalatable, meaning they bypass the brain's natural satiety signals. You can eat a massive bowl of instant noodles and still feel hungry an hour later.
Because there's no real nutrition.
They rely heavily on artificial emulsifiers, chemical preservatives, and synthetic flavor enhancers. Emulsifiers, which are used to bind oil and water in processed foods, behave like detergents in the gut.
Detergents.
Yes, they can literally strip away that protective mucus layer, leading to increased intestinal permeability.
Leaky gut.
Exactly. This allows microscopic food particles and bacterial toxins to cross into the bloodstream, which aggressively triggers that systemic inflammation.
So your body is constantly fighting these chemicals.
Your liver and kidneys are forced to work overtime.
Finally, culprit number 5, high-salt foods.
Specifically daily pad and pickles. As we age, our blood vessels naturally lose some of their elasticity. The endothelial lining becomes slightly stiffer.
Okay.
Now, when you consume a commercial pad or a pickle, you are ingesting a massive payload of sodium chloride. The excess sodium enters the bloodstream and pulls surrounding fluid into the blood vessels to dilute it.
So the volume of blood increases.
This sudden increase in blood volume creates immense physical pressure against those already stiffened arterial walls. The heart has to pump exponentially harder to move that thickened, high-volume blood.
Daily consumption of these hyper-salty items is just a relentless physical stress test on an aging heart. You might be thinking, well, what is left to enjoy? What should we be eating?
The clinical data highlights 5 specific protective foods.
Protector number 1, green leafy vegetables.
They are exceptionally rich in magnesium. A body deficient in magnesium will inherently struggle with insulin resistance. They provide both soluble and insoluble fiber. When you eat a bowl of Palak or Methia alongside your meal, that fiber acts as a physical barrier in the stomach and small intestine.
A barrier.
It literally wraps around the carbohydrates you've eaten, so instead of a glucose spike, you get a slow, steady trickle of energy. It becomes easy.
Protector number 2, whole pulses and legumes.
Whole pulses and legumes, moong, masoor, chana, rajma, they are powerhouses because they deliver a dual payload.
Dual payload.
First, they provide the essential plant-based amino acids required to combat sarcopenia and rebuild muscle tissue. But uniquely, they package that protein alongside dense, complex carbohydrates and massive amounts of soluble fiber. Actively lowers your lipid profile while keeping you incredibly satiated. The target here is at least 1 small bowl, about half a cup cooked per major meal.
Protector number 3, millets and whole grains.
Yes, bajra, jowar, ragi.
Why are these vastly superior to the polished white rice?
Millets contain much higher levels of amylose,
So it digests slower.
incredibly slow gastric emptying. The complex fibers in millets act as prebiotics. They traverse the digestive tract largely intact until they reach the colon. There, they serve as the primary food source for your beneficial gut bacteria.
So it feeds the good guys.
By feeding that microbiome, you strengthen the gut barrier and naturally reduce that systemic inflammation.
Protector number 4 is nuts and seeds. Now, I love this category. 6 to 8 almonds, or 1 to 2 walnuts daily.
Nuts and seeds are incredibly nutrient-dense, providing essential omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, and trace minerals that are phenomenal for endothelial function, the health of your blood vessels.
Not 12.
But they are also incredibly calorie-dense because they are primarily fat.
And the final protector, number 5, fermented foods.
As we age and our natural digestive enzyme production drops, fermented foods become the ultimate digestive assist.
Digestive assist.
Foods like traditional curds, buttermilk, or even fermented vegetables undergo lactofermentation, where bacteria pre-digest the sugars and proteins. They directly introduce live beneficial microbes into the gut ecosystem. This is directly correlated with a stronger immune system and better nutrient absorption.
We are moving into section 4, the 5 daily superfoods for healthy aging.
Curd is non-negotiable for the senior diet. Beyond the probiotic benefits we just touched on, curd is highlighted because of its protein bioavailability.
Bioavailability, meaning how easily the body uses it. And it is a critical source of calcium, right? Because bone density is a massive concern after 60.
Absolutely. The calcium in curd is highly bioavailable, and the lactic acid present actually enhances its absorption in the...
Superfood number 2 is flax seeds.
They are one of the richest terrestrial sources of alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, which is a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Omega-3s. In the body, ALA is converted into EPA and DHA, which are incredibly potent anti-inflammatory molecules. Furthermore, they are rich in lignans, which are unique plant compounds that have been shown to support cardiovascular health.
Superfood number 3 is isabgol or psyllium husk.
Isabgol is pure, unadulterated soluble fiber. When you consume it with water, it swells to many times its original size, forming a highly viscous, soothing gel matrix in the gut. Isabgol provides the necessary bulk and moisture to keep the digestive transit time optimal. More than that, it aggressively traps cholesterol in the gut, ensuring cardiovascular protection.
Superfood number 4, walnuts. Again, we know nuts are good. But why is the walnut elevated above the cashew or the pistachio for the aging brain?
It is exceptionally high in specific polyphenols and antioxidants. As we age, oxidative stress in the brain can lead to cognitive decline, memory issues, and reduced neuroplasticity. The specific fatty acid profile of the walnut, combined with its high vitamin E and folate content, makes it actively neuroprotective.
It defends the brain cells.
It defends against free radical damage while supporting the elasticity of the blood vessels supplying oxygen to the brain.
It is nature's brain food. And the final daily superfood, number 5, dates.
Dates, however, contain natural sugars that are locked inside an incredibly dense matrix of soluble fiber, insoluble fiber, and tannins.
So it satisfies the sweet craving without the violent insulin spike.
Precisely. And beyond the energy, dates are a phenomenal source of dietary iron and potassium. Anemia low hemoglobin is common in older adults due to that reduced digestive efficiency we talked about.
And dates fix that.
Eating 2 dates a day provides a highly bioavailable source of iron to support red blood cell production, while the potassium helps regulate blood pressure.
We are moving to section 5, the smart Indian plate and the power of protein. I want you to visually build this for our listener.
Imagine your standard round dining plate.
Okay.
Draw a line straight down the middle. That entire left half, a full 50% of the volume of your food, must be vegetables.
Half the plate.
This is your fiber and micronutrient base. It can be a vibrant mix. Half of it cooked sabzi, like bindi or palak, and the other half a raw salad of cucumbers, tomatoes, and carrots.
Okay, half the plate is greens and veggies. What about the remaining half?
You take that remaining right half and cut it into 2 equal quarters. The top quarter, 25% of the total plate, is dedicated to your complex carbohydrates.
So that's the roti or rice.
This is your energy source. It could be 1 millet roti or a small mound of unpolished brown rice or quinoa. And the final quarter, the remaining 25%, is entirely dedicated to your protein source. It could be a thick bowl of dal, a serving of paneer, or a portion of dense curd. And finally, you finish the plate with a very small, measured drizzle of healthy fat, like a teaspoon of ghee over the roti.
50% vegetables, 25% complex carbs, 25% protein. What is the one nutrient one should never, ever skip after age 60?
The absolute non-negotiable macronutrient is protein. When you are young, the body is highly efficient at the building phase. But as you cross 60, the body naturally shifts toward the breakdown phase. And the only way to override that breakdown signal is to flood the system with high-quality amino acids, the building blocks of protein. If you do not provide enough protein through your diet, the body begins to cannibalize its own skeletal muscle to get what it needs.
It eats its own muscle.
Yes. You will watch your strength, your balance, and your metabolic sync simply waste away.
How to get enough protein if you don't eat meat?
The vegetarian kingdom is rich in protein, mixed dals and pulses, low-fat paneer, curd, and thick Greek-style yogurt
Oils.
Soy products, particularly tofu, are incredibly dense, complete plant proteins. And we cannot forget besan or chana flour.
The golden rule includes a source of protein at every single major meal. I hear this from older relatives constantly. If I eat dal twice a day, my stomach blows up like a balloon. It gives me terrible gas and indigestion.
Very common.
Since their digestive enzymes are lower, how do we solve the pulse problem without giving up the protein?
The culprit behind the bloating is usually a combination of phytic acid and complex oligosaccharides. They are sugars that humans like the enzyme to digest, so bacteria in the gut ferment them, creating gas. But the solution is 3 strict steps to render pulses highly digestible. Step 1. You must soak the pulses in ample water for a minimum of 8 to 10 hours. And crucially, you must drain and completely discard that soaking water. Do not use it for cooking.
Why discard it?
Because that water now contains the leached phytic acid and the gas-producing compounds.
Step 2.
Step 2, sprout them. When you allow a soaked pulse to germinate and sprout, it actively releases the enzyme phytase, which further breaks down any remaining phytic acid. It also begins to pre-digest its own complex starches into simpler, easier to absorb nutrients. Step 3, cook them thoroughly, ideally in a pressure cooker. It is a masterclass in functional nutrition.
That brings us to our final major topic. Let's perform a clinical audit of your kitchen today. The first swap is environmental. Replace all plastic food storage containers with steel and glass.
Many plastic containers, especially when heated in a microwave or used to store hot food, leach chemical compounds like phthalates and bisphenols into the food.
And those are dangerous.
These are known as endocrine-disrupting chemicals. Shifting back to traditional stainless steel davas or using simple glass jars is a permanent, one-time removal of a daily, low-grade toxic exposure.
Second audit point. Swap deep frying for sautéing, steaming, or using an air fryer. Third audit point, and this one is so practical it hurts, ditch the free pouring of oil. Limit oil to 3 to 4 teaspoons per person per day, and absolutely avoid reusing heated oil.
When you pour oil directly from a heavy bottle into a hot pan, it is incredibly easy to use 3 tablespoons when you only intended to use 1. That is hundreds of hidden calories and excess fats. Using a standard teaspoon to measure your cooking oil enforces immediate visual discipline.
The fourth point is rotating your traditional oils rather than aggressively sticking to just one.
Right.
It suggests alternating between groundnut, mustard, olive, sesame, flaxseed, and even small amounts of desi ghee. Why not just pick the healthiest one and stick with it?
Because biologically, no single oil possesses a perfect fatty acid profile. Each oil brings a different structural benefit. Mustard oil has a high smoke point. Olive oil provides profound monounsaturated fats for the heart. Ghee, in strict moderation, provides butyrate, which fuels the gut lining. By rotating your oils, perhaps using mustard oil for sabzi, olive oil for a salad dressing, and a touch of ghee on a roti, you are ensuring a comprehensive, balanced intake of diverse essential fatty acids and protective compounds.
Fifth point. Ditch cola and carbonated drinks entirely and replace them with traditional buttermilk.
It is the perfect cultural swap. You eliminate the refined sugar.
And what do you get instead?
In return, you get a cooling, probiotic-rich, protein-containing fermented beverage. Instead of reaching for the salt shaker, add a generous squeeze of fresh lemon juice, a heavy sprinkle of roasted cumin powder, and a vibrant, fresh coriander and mint chutney.
That sounds delicious.
It delivers a massive flavor punch without adding a single milligram of sodium to your bloodstream.
Finally, we arrive at the habits beyond the plate. Because health is holistic. You can't just eat a bowl of millets and sit on the couch for 10 hours.
Nutrition is the foundation, but these habits are the scaffolding that holds the house together. First, 30 minutes of daily walking. A dedicated 30-minute block maintains cardiovascular endurance and joint lubrication. Second, and this is critical, strength training 2 times a week. Using resistance bands, light dumbbells, or even dedicated bodyweight exercises like squats.
To fight the muscle loss.
This is the only way to actively signal to the body to build muscle and combat that sarcopenia.
What's the third habit?
Third, mindful eating. Actually chewing your food thoroughly to aid that reduced digestive efficiency. Fourth, prioritizing 7 hours of sleep. Sleep is when the brain clears out plaques and the body resolves systemic inflammation.
And the final habit is maintaining strong social connections.
Yes, chronic isolation is a profound physiological stressor. Staying engaged with the community, laughing, and sharing meals actively supports cognitive elasticity and emotional health.
To wrap this all up, I want to leave you, our listener, with the ultimate daily checklist. Think of this as your daily metabolic scorecard. Before you turn off the lights to go to sleep tonight, ask yourself these 5 simple questions.
The scorecard.
Number 1, did I eat enough vegetables today? Did I hit that target of woven distributed greens? Number 2, did I include a source of protein in each of my major meals to protect my muscles?
Crucial.
Number 3, did I consciously control my cooking oil with a spoon? And did I keep the raw salt off the table? Number 4, did I walk for at least 30 minutes or do my 12-minute post-meal strolls? And number 5, did I sleep well the night before? And am I setting myself up for good rest tonight?
If you can honestly answer yes to those 5 questions on most days of the week, you are fundamentally changing the trajectory of your health.
Changing the trajectory.
You are silencing the inflammation, rebuilding your structural integrity, and optimizing your engine. Healthy aging is not one big dramatic overnight change. It is small, daily discipline.
Small, daily discipline. That is such a powerful mantra to live by. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over, building precisely on that idea.
I'm intrigued.
We spent a lot of time today talking about discipline. We talked extensively about measuring our cooking oil with a teaspoon to protect our physical health, to ensure our arteries stay clear and our hearts stay strong. How can we apply that exact same protective discipline to measuring our daily social connection and our mental engagement?
Oh, that's a beautiful question.
Are we measuring out our daily laughs? Are we ensuring a medicinal dose of good conversation? Are we actively auditing our routines to make sure our minds and our hearts are just as carefully, precisely, and passionately nourished as our bodies in our 60s and beyond?
Because the heart needs more than just physical health.
Exactly. A healthy heart isn't just one that pumps blood efficiently. It's one that has a reason to keep pumping. Something to think about as you go about your day. I want to thank you so warmly for joining us on this deep dive. Appreciate your curiosity, your time, and your commitment. Start with just one small swap today. You've got this. Take care.